So let's just get into the fucking nitty gritty. I want to know everything about you. I want to know where you sleep. I want to know where you grew up, all the goods, all the bads. So first and foremost, I got to know where you got started at on Twitch. How did you enter into this world? What was kind of like your initiation?
So it's funny. Twitch was not my first kind of like place that I tried to be a content creator. As a matter of fact, Twitch was really like something I didn't understand. I got the concept, but I didn't understand why people did it. I thought, like, okay, I can stream, I can sit there and watch somebody play a video game. If I give him money, he's just going to keep playing the game. Why does anybody subscribe? I don't get it. It was like, and I was a freeloader. I didn't subscribe to anybody on Twitch. I would tune in and kind of watch sometimes if I thought it was interesting. I would be there a lot for esports, but never for content creators. And
interesting.
What I did love and what I consumed a lot of was YouTube. I consumed a lot of YouTube, and I always thought YouTubing was cool. I wanted to do it, and it was something that I thought I could be pretty good at because my background is in music. I went to school for theory and composition, so creating art forms that existed statically that you would create, and then they were done, and then you could go and witness at any time was something I was good at, whereas doing stuff live was a little bit not as much. I would side gig as a guitar player for different blues bands or whatever, but like still I was more into like I think I can be good on camera if I have the chance to reshoot it over and over and over again,
Oh yeah.
And so I started a vlog series about TCU football because that was the thing I was most interested in at the time. Produced that for a season, making a video for every game, and then I loved esports, wanted to get into esports, wanted to make gaming content, tried to start a few channels, never could quite get into what I was doing. And then Rocket League rolls around, and I'm watching the stuff online. I'm playing the game. I'm having a good time. I realize I suck. I'm never going to be a pro at this game. And I start watching the tournaments, and I'm listening to the casters. And I'm like, I've never casted. I'm better than these guys. I know I can be better than these guys, even though I've never once done this. I just understand what needs to be said and what they're not saying. I think I can do this. So I started a channel. So I started still on YouTube. I recorded myself casting one of my own replays by myself. Put it on YouTube. Posted it to Reddit. Said, hey, if you want your gameplay casted, hit me up with a replay file. I'll download it. I'll cast the game. I'll put it on my YouTube channel. Few people bit. Few people said, cool, I want it. There was a few that were like kind of like platish level players. There was a few of like just total bronzies, And that began WavePunk Cast, which was a series that ran about 16 episodes of me casting literally anything anybody would let me cast. That was kind of how I first started casting.
So one of the entry points that I always hear somebody like a lot of entrepreneurs say is like, if you want to get started in an area that you love and that you want to get into, do that shit for free. Just throw stuff out there, see what sticks, and somebody will eventually come along and be like, yeah, I'll have you shoutcast my shit.
Yeah, especially in esports. Esports is so young right now, and what you need is to see people who are passionate enough about what they're doing to put the work in to get themselves to where they want to be, And I was directly following a model laid out by Purge, the Dota caster. This was a video I'd seen of his forever ago. He's a guy that works on the International, the big Dota competition, one of the two biggest esports events in the world every year. And he started in the exact same way. And he said, if you want to be a caster, just start doing it. Just start casting anything you get your hands on. Any replay anybody gives you, just start making your job for yourself, and eventually someone will pay attention. That's exactly what happened with me. I was doing these videos. I had built up a resume of 8 or so of them. They were bad. They were real bad. And I went and there was a guy named Minecraft Dad. He's still in the community every once in a while. He showed up in my chat the other day for the first time in 6 months. And he was like, yo, there's this group called Ghost Boosters that's doing 2v2 tournaments. They need a caster. And they need someone who can broadcast the tournament. And it's just this little community event. They're not going to pay you nothing. Just, would you like to cast? I'm like, yes, hell yes. Like, get me in this tournament. So I literally stayed up for 6 hours with my roommate one night, figuring out how with our two computers combined we could possibly cast the game. Or stream the game, because they didn't have a streamer either. They were just going to run the tournament just off challenge and have no broadcast, but I was going to give them a broadcast.
Okay.
So I figured out how to broadcast, designed some graphics, so I had a starting plate and an end plate, because they didn't have any graphics or anything. I said, just send me your logo, I'll put together some plates. and then commandeered my roommate's computer for a 5-hour stream, which he was just bless his heart. He let me have access to it. He literally in the middle of the broadcast brought me Sonic, like chicken nuggets and like a drink. He's like, here, I know you need this. I'm like, you are my favorite person right now. But that was how I got started casting, was doing that. And then I had a tournament under my belt. Eventually Cloud Fuel saw me, thought I was great, gave me opportunities to cast Gfinity. That first Gfinity tournament was a pretty crazy story too, because I was casting with the Pash, who was one of the bigger casters in Rocket League at the moment.
Okay.
And he was from Germany. Halfway through the tournament, his internet just dies, and he was hosting the stream. So he can't, like, all of a sudden the stream just dies. There's a bunch of people in chat being like, what happened? I am still in Texas with fully active internet. I'm still watching the game, so I know what's going on because I'm perspecting from my own perspective. So I just go straight to chat. I start saying, hey, so here's what happened. This guy, he kicked it over here, but they blocked it. Oh, they scored at this much time left. To start chat casting the game. And the chat's all like, yeah, we still know what's going on and stuff. It was, just total community vibes. It was great. Cloud Fuel gets the game gets everything up and running on his computer so he can stream. And then I just solo casted the rest of the tournament. And it was this perfect, like, win-win situation where if I had done poorly, everyone would have been like, oh, it was so rough. His first cast and an extreme crashes, and he has to do it by himself. And if I did great, everyone would have been like, wow, look how great this guy was. And like, it was this perfect blend. And so I did well. This community liked me, and we kind of went from there to RLCS. So,
and that seems like, so, like, what's the time span in between you doing that very first cast and first RLCS?
Guess.
See, I could brown nose the shit out of you right now, or I could insult you, and I'm gonna try and give myself.
I want to know what you actually think. Like, how long do you think that actually was from like beginning, the very first time I ever tried to cast something, to the very first day of RLCS? Because I casted the very first game of RLCS.
See, I'm trying to ask. Can I get one hint? Like, can you give me one broad spectrum of a fact?
So
okay, first RLCS would have been,
first RLCS was May of 2016, May 1st.
It was only that long ago. I feel like it would have been longer.
Dude, we do 2 seasons a year. It flies by.
That's right.
Like,
okay.
6 seasons, but no, that was 3 years ago.
I'm gonna guess 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
3 months.
What?
I started casting. My first cast was like January something. It was like January, February 2nd. And then it was right place, right time, in a way nothing has ever been for me before. It was crazy. And I just have, and also they were limited to only working with North American casters. So that cut like Shoguns and the Pashes and stuff out just because they just couldn't figure out how to get them over here. But yeah, it's funny because there's been a lot of people that have kind of come up to me afterwards and been like, dude, I can't wait to cast with you in RLCS next season. And I'll just be like, oh man, good, go for your dreams. And they'll be like, I mean, you did it in like 3 months. Like I can, I just started casting, so I'll be there. And it's like, dude, you don't understand.
Yeah.
This is like a one-time thing. Like your path is going to be so much harder than mine was. The timing, if I'd come in a month later, would not have gotten there, Like I came in at the last minute.
Hard work and determination puts you where good luck can find you.
It does.
It's one of my favorite mottos, and I stand by it. So before you got started with Rocket League, and just so everybody in chat knows, I don't play Rocket League anymore just because I hit a point. I had 1,100 hours in it. I think the beginning of the 6th season or the 7th season. I had ended one of those seasons at Champ, and then I had started the next season. So I was like just starting to get into Champ, and with a full-time job in streaming, 20 to 30 hours a week with a podcast and, a house, a girlfriend, it got to the point where I was either going to have to stream Rocket League and only Rocket League in order to like maintain myself at that skill, or I was going to have to do nothing other than Rocket League when I wasn't streaming. And sure. I don't know about you, but if I'm not streaming, I'm not playing video games. Like there's no time for me to do so. And And most of the time, there's no motivation for me to do so either. Like, if I'm not working and I'm not streaming, it's really difficult for me to go, okay, yeah, I want to use my off time to play more video games. It's kind of hard for me to do that. So I've, played a good 1,100 hours, and then I hit that point and I haven't played, I would say, I'm kind of scared to look at Steam to see when the last time I played was Rocket League. Oh my God. October 11th was the last time I played it. And I think before.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's only it's a couple months. I'm sure
it's just the holidays,
I don't know where I would stand if I got back into it, like rank wise. But still, I mean, my next most played game is Grand Theft Auto 4 with like 260 hours. So like,
dude, that's me too. Like not Grand Theft Auto, but like for a long time I thought it's funny how esports changes your mentality of what is playing a lot of a game. I was like, I had played like 200 hours of League of Legends, and that was a big deal to me. I had played 200 hours of League of Legends. I had played about 116 hours of Trackmania, which is this crazy racing game if you've never played it. Hello, kitty. Oh man,
hello.
I want a cat now. But I had never done anything. I had played no game for like 1,000 hours. That was not a thing. To me, that was like, what would you do that? And like in esports, 1,000 hours is when like you gave the game a good college try,
Yes.
So, like, I've run into people who are like, I'd be like, so how much have you played this game? Like, oof, not that much, just like 150 hours. And it's like, you're in like the top 2% of like time played in the game probably at that point. But still, they understand that in esports, 150 hours is nothing,
Right. Yeah, because like when I think it was around like a year ago, there was just like a couple tweets going around where a lot of the Rocket League pros were posting how many hours they had in the game. 4, 5, 6,000 hours. And a lot of these dudes have been played even before Rocket League, the super long name of the game that was before Rocket League.
Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars.
Yes. How long was that around before Rocket League came out?
I think it was 7 years.
Okay.
Because they've been saying that, like, I think the 3rd year anniversary of Rocket League was the 10-year anniversary of Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars. So,
okay.
And yeah, people would talk about how like Cookser had been playing this game, this concept for like 7 years, while the rest of us had only been here for like a few months. So
right.
I'm pretty sure it's about that long.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you? What I want to know? I want to like get into the head of somebody who has casted Rocket League. What was it like the first RLCS that you did compared to the most recent?
The biggest difference is like how special it was, how crazy it was. The idea, like the whole first weekend was an absolute blur. Like, and like Lawler's in chat right now. Lawler's one of my bros. He and I can both relate to the fact that like week 1, we both were like, what are we doing here? We do not belong here. We should not be here. How is this possible? We were both scared out of our brains that we were gonna do one show and they were gonna be like, yeah, cool, thanks for coming, don't ever come back, And it was just like everything was terrifying, and there was this camaraderie with other casters of like how amazing it was. Like I had never been to California, or I take it back, I was born in California. A year later, we moved away. I don't remember anything about California, but
if you did, I'd have some questions.
Yeah, first time ever as a person who could retain memory was in California. Get off the plane in Burbank Airport, which is Burbank Bob Hope Airport, is a very LA feeling airport. It feels like Hollywood in the way that LAX doesn't. LAX just feels like a big place, but Hollywood, it's like the kind of like tan stucco style buildings that you kind of imagine most of the down, like the Warner Brothers lots being, lots of palm trees, super sunny, perfect weather. Farpet and I had a flight together. We get off the plane. We've been sitting there kind of like, oh, wow, about everything. And we're waiting for them to come pick us up. And it's Justin Delario, the head of Twitch Esports, and Luke Thompson, who was one of the heads of Psyonix Esports at the time, were coming to pick us up, which is just like, okay.
Mind-blowing in itself.
Yeah, just the fact that like people that have that sort of position are talking to me. Someone that literally has been casting in front of in Skype. That was it. I think I had streamed twice at this point, by the way. I was not a streamer at all. I take that back.
Wow.
well, no, that probably was like twice, because like I most of the time when I would cast streams online, I would be just tuning in. I would be Skyping into someone else who was broadcasting. There was that Ghost Boosters tournament. I had one time tried to stream Hearthstone just for the fun of it, just to see if I could do it. And Hearthstone's an easy game to stream, and that was it. Like I was not a streamer, and yet the head of Twitch, not the head of Twitch, the head of Twitch Esports, was driving in a car to pick me up. Right, this black Challenger pulls up, and they get out of the car and Luke Thompson looks at us and goes, "Welcome to the big leagues, boys." And I'm just like, what? You know, like first off, what a Hollywood thing to say, right? Yeah.
Right.
But also just like, I just can't believe that this is happening, right? We get in the car, there's like this nice Twitch jacket in the back, and I'm just like, we're in the place where this stuff is, these people have it. Like, it wasn't for me, it was his, but like still, it was just like
this is where people get blowjobs.
Yeah, and like just the whole week was surreal. It was a memory that was unique in and of itself that will never be matched. And the first broadcast was bad. We didn't know what to wear. Like, I looked like a kid who went to like a southern prom or something. Like, it was not. I was wearing like a flannel. We were and like a tie or something like that. I was not dressed for the occasion. And it was the whole. You go back and you watch those moments, and I'm just like, whew, this was rough. But it still was special. 20,000 people were tuning in. It was just like a hard number to wrap your head around. Now 20,000 people is work. That's just
right.
I'm just going to work and I'm in front of 20,000 people, and that's not a problem, you know. But and I think that's maybe the biggest difference is like having to combat that, having to look at a situation where I get to be in front of thousands and thousands of people, and they get to listen to me and listen to what I say, and to have that not be something I take for granted. And to not look at that and be like, because there's days I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go cast. I'd rather just sit here. You know, like that doesn't sound like fun. And then every time I try to like slap myself and be like, Caleb, somebody's paying you to talk about video games. You know, like
right.
The people that would kill to have your job for a day, and to think of how special it is that you were in a position where you fund your life that way. It's such a blessing, and you usually can recalibrate yourself to like think of like, how fun is it, you know, that this is what we get to do. Have you ever seen the movie The Rookie, the baseball movie?
Is that with Kevin Costner?
No, what is his name? I'm forgetting his name right now. Dennis Quaid.
Oh, what's the Kevin Costner baseball movie where he cuts his hand open?
No, I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
Fuck, chat, help me out there.
So the Rookie's about this kid who loved to play baseball, was really good at it, but then never really could make it as a pro or anything. Like he never even got close. He moved to a small town of Texas with his parents moved to a small town in Texas, and he just kind of grew up there, and then eventually started to teach. Just moved into kind of science, kind of like he would coach the high school baseball team. That was his outlet, but he wouldn't play anymore.
Okay.
But the guy could pitch stupid fast. So the movie like fast forwards to when he's an adult. He's pitching for his kids. They're like, this is crazy. And then he like, they convince him, they tell him, hey, if we make it to state, you have to go try out at the MLB combine. You just have to just go and pitch. Just like you don't give up on your dream. If you're encouraging us to not give up on our dreams, but you're not allowed to give up on your dreams, right? He goes, he pitches a 97 mile per hour fastball. They're like, you're crazy. He makes it onto a minors team. He's now having to walk away from his kids and his wife, who are encouraging him to go. They're like, go do this. And he's like, but I gotta take care of you guys, right? And they're like, no, go, we'll be fine. He does some stuff, he's fine. And there's a moment where he's completely dejected. He's like, this is done. I need to come home. I just need to, like, this is not, I'm shirking my responsibility there. And his wife has a great phone call with him about, hey, you've got you've got this little boy here that all he wants is for his father to be a baseball player and stuff like that. You do this for your kid or whatever, like the inspirational conversation. All that to say, the next morning he gets up, he goes to the locker room. He's got a friend on the baseball team who's like the comedic relief character. The guy's looking at himself in the mirror, and he walks up behind him. And he's like, you know what we get to do today, Bruce? Bruce is like, what? It's like, we get to play baseball. And he just walks away. And it's like, they do it every day.
Right.
Just take the time to think about it. To take the time to think of how cool it is that you get to do that in that day and in that moment. You'll have a great time. And like that wasn't something I had to work on at first, and now it is. But it's still so special if I take the time just to realize how special it is.
Well, yeah. When you get into the motions of doing that kind of stuff every single day, and it's actually kind of relieving to hear you talk about that at that level, because like it's so easy to get wrapped up in the day to day, and then you're like, oh shit, wait, I'm actually not that luck is used as like a to take away from hard work, but it's like I'm actually kind of lucky to be able to do what I'm doing and do it for the amount of people that I'm doing it for.
Yeah. No, and like I'm definitely a proponent of I don't like to talk. I don't like to take away from hard work. I would play music and people would be like, "Oh, you're so talented," and I'm like, "No, I practiced for 10,000 hours." Like I'm not, yes, there's talent, but talent's nothing without practice.
Right.
But in this particular scenario, I do feel lucky. I do feel like there are plenty of people that could have done as good or a better job than I did, but that didn't get the opportunity. And I had no idea. The timing was in no way something I did. That was something that was given to me. That was a blessing, and I want to try and make the most of it. I mean, we were in season 6. We're in Vegas. Gibbs and I are sitting there playing pool in the players' lounge in this like penthouse suite with a view of all of Vegas. And Gibbs is just looking at me. He's just like, "Our life is stupid, man. This is so. I can't believe we got paid to be here. We are currently working right now." Talking to, they're like, "Hey, will you please come watch the best Rocket League in the world and tell us what you think about it?" Like, the fact that that's a job someone pays me to do is just, oh, it's amazing.
Just think out loud, please, on camera, and we're going to pay you.
Yeah, this is for real. Like, who, why? Like, that's crazy. Oh man.
I'm super curious about now. If this is getting too personal, you're more than welcome to decline. Does the majority of your paycheck come from Rocket League? Does part of it come from Twitch? Like, what are so like when you think about a streamer, they've got Twitch revenue, they've got ad revenue, they've got sponsorships, they've got donations. What's kind of like your revenue pie chart for a shoutcaster?
It's basically so it changes depending on your relationship. When we first came out, there was a partnership between Twitch and Psyonix, and they were working together. And it's basically the paycheck came through whoever was managing us, and so in that situation, it was Twitch. Now the Psyonix took over the whole process by themselves. The paycheck, I guess, essentially comes from Psyonix, but I have an agent that I work for, and I only get paid through the agency, so they facilitate all of my money and all of that stuff.
Whoa.
And it's very nice because I'm bad at stuff like that. I would not make nearly as much money as I do if I didn't have someone who was saying, "No, you need to pay this guy this much money,"
Right. Yeah. Like, but what if I'm kind of just like, no, put it down.
I'm always like, "Oh, I'll do it for super cheap." They're like, "Why?" Like, I don't know. I want to do the gig. And they're like, "No, do it for more." I'm like, "Okay." Like they've made me so much money. It's been such a blessing.
Did you, when you first started casting, did you already know that this was it? This is what I want to do? Or was it just kind of testing the waters and then it just evolved into what it is today?
It's for me, like music was my first true love. It was the thing that I kind of sunk my teeth into and said, I want to do this. I wanted to actually write video game soundtracks. That was kind of the dream. And I went to school for music and learned how to write music, but the school I was at didn't have any real connections in the video game or even just the entertainment world. It was very much more on the kind of conservatory end of things. You'll get a job teaching or a job playing in an orchestra or like working with an orchestra, but you're not going to be, we don't have connections to like help you, be the next big rock band or to get hooked up with a studio or a movie producer or something like that. And so that kind of like took a side. I had a band. We would kind of do that stuff on the side while I was working as a stage manager for the two different theaters at the school I graduated from TCU. I went to the School of Music there, graduated, became a full-time stage manager for the School of Music. And it was fun. I got to like create a lot of shows. We did a absolute metric fuck ton of concerts, and it was great. The concerts were kind of boring a lot of times. It was like piano and clarinet and voice recitals mostly.
Oh, fucking clarinet.
We get a rock show. Every once in a while we get an opera. Every once in a while we get a ballet, and those were super cool. But the bread and butter of what I was making was boring, and it was interesting because like as much as I enjoyed making shows and as much as I enjoyed music, kind of the most interesting show I did there was still less interesting than the most boring esports show I've ever done. Like it was just the excitement, the colors that you get to work with in esports is like there's so much bright colors. I mean, look at the stream, look at your room, like look at my room. Like this is fun. We embrace this, we encourage this. Where the classical world, the high art world is very black and white and proper and sophisticated, and it's not as much fun as you could say. So it was very, for me, making a show I'm excited about is the most important thing. Casting is an expression of that right now. There's a lot of things I could do where I would be satisfied that are not casting, but I'm very blessed to be able to get to make money doing something like this right now.
It's such a surreal thing when you think about it. You're like, oh wait, holy shit, I'm actually. So you're not necessarily free as far as like, there's always going to be creative limitations, especially when you're getting a paycheck from somebody else. But the fact that you can do this type of stuff nowadays, like I thought it was funny that you said that esports isn't fully grown yet. It's still in its early stages. Mm-hmm. My first thought of that is like, man, I already feel like not necessarily that we've peaked at esports, but I feel like I don't know if I can really say it's mainstream, but it's there. Like it is there. It is noticeable. And there's obviously so much more room to grow. I just tweeted out last week. I don't follow sports at all. Mm-hmm. I don't follow any sports, but I listen to a local sports radio station like every single day. And it all comes down because I love the casters. Like from 6 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. There's like 3 different groups of radio broadcasters, and they all do such an amazing job. And I've taken things from their shows and implemented them into mine. And I was like, man, I hope that kind of like esports and video games get to the point where we can have like a single station or maybe even like a single Twitch channel where it's nothing but just talk shows from the beginning to end.
It's funny because like there is content like that out there, but it's just it does not exist anywhere in close to the realm or the level it does with sports. You know, there are some really good esports talk shows, but it's just not the same. And it's people are always talking about like, has esports made it? Is esports here yet? And I think like making it is such an ambiguous, like what is making it, you know? Because like we are a self-sustaining industry, and in that way I consider it to have made it. And yes, I think we are mainstream in a way we've never been before. People understand that esports is a thing, you know. I think that like more rare and more rare for me to run into people that don't know what esports is at all. You know, almost always they at least have an idea, even if they don't follow it. The way that we all know what sports is, even though we don't follow it, or we do, depending on person to person. You know, so it is growing. But like when people talk about like you'll talk to people who think that we've made it because they follow esports hardcore and they know about sports, and they look at them with their tiny knowledge of sports and their massive knowledge of esports, and they say, oh, well, it's the same. We're basically the same thing now because look, we packed Madison Square Gardens for an esports tournament. We've made it. And it's like, no, understand that in 1928, the Ohio State-Michigan college football game had 85,000 people at it. Yeah. And that was just one football game that weekend. Look, when you can get to where you have 32 stadiums with 85,000 people every Saturday, now we're talking, and that's not including the people online that are watching. Then we can talk about comparing the two. But right now, esports still has just so much more time to mature, so much longer of a go. Because again, remember, 1928, that's almost 100 years ago, and that's not even when football started. Football started like 1901, so like football's older than 100 years, and we're wanting to compare it to esports. We started in the last 20 years. Like, no, we gotta take some time. You know, we gotta get there.
Yeah, like you can go up to any person in the world and go, "Hey, do you like football?" And they'll say, "Yes, no, kinda." Yeah. You can walk up to somebody.
What's that? You know?
Right? Yeah, you walk up and say, "Hey, did you watch esports?" I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about?" Like, I don't even know what you're saying. So yeah, we got a long way before it's that there, like that made it that mainstream. We've got a while. But it's
the funny thing is, as much as I hope that happens, I don't actually know that like there will be a direct one-to-one comparison, because sports is a thing that revolves around being in one place at the same time, right? Sports has always started with, if my school wants to play your school, one of us has to drive to the other and then play the game there. And if you want to watch the game, you have to come to the game. That's where it started. Then technology became invented to where you could not be there and be able to watch the game. You still have to go. The teams still have to show up at each other, but like the fans don't necessarily have to go there to watch the game. Where esports is entirely the other way around. The players don't even have to be in the same place, and the people watching definitely don't have to be in the same place. And now we're trying to get them to go back to, hey, let's all meet in this one place and watch. And I don't know if we're ever going to get to a level where we have 100 stadiums across the world getting packed every weekend for esports. Like that's just people, the community already is operating on this. I'm used to watching it on stream where it's honestly a better viewing experience and where I have chat, and that's my experience. Which breaks my heart, because the power of being in a stadium with 85,000 people roaring for a game is unlike anything I've ever experienced in esports. It is completely different. Like the Justin goal is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in esports, and it's still secondary to my best sporting experiences of being with the TCU hype squads, where I'm on the field and at halftime we're losing 31-0, and then we win that game in triple overtime, and how like I get goosebumps saying that sentence. Like that was the energy of that crowd, and that experience is something I will take with me for the rest of my life. You know, I'm gonna take the Justin goal with me as well, but like. And the fact that I'm talking about him in the same sentence tells you how great that Justin goal was, but like there's just something about there being that many people roaring over an event that cannot be matched by an esports chat, you know?
Right. My first esports experience was TwitchCon 2017, the H1Z1 arena that was in like one of the other. It wasn't like in TwitchCon. It was like off on the side in one of their arenas that they had.
I was there. I remember seeing it. It was crazy.
I was extremely underwhelmed.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I felt like one issue was there was the esports ring of all the players. And then there were all of these like exhibits on the outer ring. Like, so there was like all these people that were walking around that were watching this arena or watching the game, but they were also like, oh, look at this beautiful H1Z1 Crown Vic. And then there was like all this background noise. Yeah. And rounds would start and the volume level like wouldn't change. I don't know if like we went on different days, but it was so underwhelming. And then I remember like me, my girlfriend and my friend, we all left. We're like, man, that was esports, huh? That was kind of what it is. And then later, this would have been was this months before or after? I can't remember. RLCS in Washington.
Yes, that was after.
Okay, so that was my first actual esports experience. And at that time, I was loving Rocket League. I was in it. I was playing it. I loved it. And then, being in the crowd and listening to all these other people like scream for goals. Because like before that, the experience of watching Rocket League is me, myself, and I in an office, just kind of watching something. And then you get around other people who are also excited. And it's a weird experience. Everything changes.
Yep. No, I think that the H1Z1 event was cool to me because of the setup. I thought the whole like ring of computers with the like massive H1Z1 logo with the casters like on top of Mount Esports there, that was just cool looking to me. Like,
that was dope.
Yeah, that was fun, and I really liked seeing like an esports event that was driven by personality rather than who's good at the game. You know, like they were going around. This was the height of Dr. Disrespect's popularity. They're going around. They're showing. They show. Like, well, so here's soda popping, like there's like before the match started, there's like putting people up, they're showing soda popping, some people cheer, then they show here's Summit, a lot of people cheer, then here's Karma, the most winningest, best Call of Duty player to ever walk the face of the earth. He's won more money and more championships playing Call of Duty than any person who's ever lived. Some nice little golf claps around, right? Dr. Disrespect, crowd roars.
Right.
Dr. Disrespect sucks in comparison to Karma. Nobody cares because they like Doc, and like that to me was like, this is something that can be special. This is something that I think Battle Royale esports can do that other esports maybe can't. It's very difficult to make a Battle Royale feel like a good esport where there isn't a lot of RNG involved, because there's just RNG at the core of what loot do you get and what can you do with it. Good players are good at doing anything with whatever loot they get, and yes, they are able to combat the RNG, but you can't argue that there isn't some. And it feels bad when my team drops in, their house didn't have any guns, so they're dead, and I don't get to watch my team anymore, right? So instead of trying to minimize that RNG, instead of trying to minimize the entertainment and minimize, like to try and maximize competitive integrity, let's lean in to the chaos of gladiatorial combat that is battle royales, and just have it be about the personalities. Just have it be about beefs. When Dr. Disrespect gets beamed in the head by Summit, have him get up and run over and rip Summit's monitor out and throw it into the crowd or something like that. Maybe not the crowd, but like you get the idea. Like it's like I want the WWE of esports.
Of esports, oh my
god! You're not
god!
scripting the fights,
Right?
They still just get to fight. They just actually get to play the game. Like how cool would that be, right?
And that was the thing, is like I remember walking in and being like, "Holy shit! This is literally a ring of death." And then we got up in the seats, and then we didn't even realize when the round had started. They were like, there was no countdown, there was no cheering. Like there was maybe like 4 beam lights that went.
Yeah, the problem. I love H1Z1, sort of.
Do you?
Like
We got beef.
It's like, I don't know. Is it the game is so like, maybe it's fun. I never played it really. I have it. I've played like 4 rounds. Been like, this isn't my thing. I can't shoot people. I don't know how this works. And I stopped. And like, it was just it's a very difficult game to watch. Not just H1Z1, but all battle royales. It's very difficult. You get 100 people. What do you look at? So
right.
Like, how do you start? How do you get into these games? And like, it's a very difficult game to produce for a show. Which is one of the crazy things, just to watch like PUBG, Fortnite, and these other games, and the H1Z1 League and stuff like that, watching how they're trying to innovate, because they're having to innovate on the fly. They're having to think of this stuff real fast, because this is uncharted territory, and we got to find a way to tell the story of what is clearly a wildly popular game, but yet when we actually start to try and produce a whole match of it, how? People are used to just watching one perspective. When you can watch all the perspectives, what do? And the funny thing is, like, this player will be doing great, so we're just going to keep on watching him, and then all the Ninja fans are like, why aren't you showing Ninja? Yeah. And then you start showing Ninja, and then you show Ninja die, and then later you show Ninja again because the Ninja fans want it, and then all the non-Ninja fans are like, why are you only showing Ninja? And it's like, what do we?
You can't win.
People at once, it's so hard to do, and it's crazy to watch the ways that things are growing as like week to week sometimes.
And if you try to think about that at a sports perspective, there's never 2 footballs on a field that you have to pay attention to, right?
No, yeah, it's one object.
One object, 2 teams. They're either going this way or they're going the other way. And yeah, I've seen the chaos of people trying to commentate Battle Royale, and then you see they go into like quad perspective where they're showing 4 different players at once. I can only imagine the people that have to control the cameras of like, oh, that person died. Okay, put player 84 up in slot 1. Oh, this person's go down. That has to be absolute madness. Yeah. And speaking of the madness, I feel those exact feelings regarding Overwatch. I cannot watch competitive Overwatch to save my life, because I understand Overwatch. I've probably put in maybe like 100+ hours in Overwatch, I'd say, possibly, maybe even less. So I know what everybody's doing. I understand some strategies. I'm no pro by any means, but when competitive Overwatch goes live and you're trying to figure out, as somebody who knows what's going on, what does that look like to somebody who like turns on channel 7 after turning off Everybody Loves Raymond and like, whoa, what the shit am I watching? And what do you think about Overwatch from a competitive state and from a casting state?
It's interesting getting to talk to the casters. They're all for it. They love their game, and they love what they've got going over there, and more power to them. And I think, to me, the Overwatch is not. It has a lot of things going against it that make it very difficult. The game was clearly built to be only ever seen from a first-person perspective. Like, the moment you get the camera out of a player's body, the explosions, like Zarya's ultimate, right? Which, when you're in character, is like, whoa, like, this feels like I'm being pulled into a black hole. And the moment you pull out of it, you're like, oh, it's just kind of a ball of animation.
Yeah, it looks dinky.
Look powerful anymore. Like, it's funny how that, like, just the change in perspective can completely change everything. So the game didn't look like it was built to be enjoyed, and like the whole, I don't know if you've noticed, there's this whole stretch and squish style of animation they do, where like when a character jumps, his body kind of elongates a little bit, and when he comes down, he like crumples in a little bit. It's very subtle, but if you ever watch like clips in slow motion, you'll see it pretty drastically. It's kind of jarring. It's like, oh my gosh, that character stretches. And
Just
it's kind of
in
an illusion they
Overwatch?
play on your eyes. Yes, this is Overwatch. It'll do this stuff like when the dude with the revolver, McCree. When he does his roll. Okay, if you go and like you can find a video of like McCree roll slowed down. You'll watch like his whole face like kind of stretches and everything, and because it goes by so fast, you don't notice it, but it makes it feel very like satisfying when you're watching it at speed. Thing is, that means we can't do slow motion replays because the game would look hilarious.
Right.
You know, like again, like a lot of the ways it was made was not with spectating in mind. Then you put the whole rule sets in the way that like you have a cart, point of the game, push the cart. Better than the other thing.
Oh, you are roboting very bad. Hold on.
Oh no. Don't robot.
Auto-tune!
Am I back yet?
Oh, you're back.
Am I back? Am I sounding good?
This is the reason why we use TeamSpeak, and yet it doesn't matter. Okay. Goddamn dedicated server shit!
Are we good?
You're good. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, so like then you put like you've got like this cart that needs to move. And the whole point of the game is to move the cart better than the other team. But how do you decide who wins? Well, it should just be who pushes the cart further or who pushes it faster. But no, it's about who scores the most points. What? You know? Like
right.
It's and like they're like I worked in an Overwatch show. I don't know if you know this. The Overwatch Winter Premiere back in like the beginning of 2017. I
did not know this.
Yeah, this was a tournament that ended at PAX South. I hosted the tournament. It was a lot of fun. It was one of my first opportunities getting to host anything. And birthed by fire, made lots of mistakes that were hilarious, but was glad to learn from them. And it was fun to also like I loved Overwatch at the time. I was having a blast playing it, and the whole tournament. We would go through it at the end, like in the finals, like after casting this thing for a month, there was still situations where we didn't know what happened. Like, so we get to the end, this team finished the point in 4 minutes left over. That team finished the map, but they went into overtime every single point. What happens? Oh, we go to overtime. Why? One team clearly pushed better than the other team, you know? And like, the funny thing is, as much as I don't like these sorts of rules, and I think the maps could use a lot of help. I think that the spectating is not great. The fact that Overwatch League has regionalized their teams to where there is a team from Dallas, there's a team from Atlanta, there's a team from LA, there's a few teams from LA, there's a team from New York, makes me care. Because as a Texan, I want Texas to be better than everywhere else. Yeah. Because they're not better than everywhere else, but it's still like I will care about a sport that I think is as kind of poor a representation of esports as Overwatch can be, just because they've put a label on some players and said these guys are from Texas. And I'm like, cool. Like, I need them to beat everybody, you know?
You just feel that pride once you see it out there. It's validated.
Which that's powerful. The fact that I will tune into a game that I enjoy watching that little just because there's a team from Dallas, you know, because I'll still keep up with Overwatch League. I want to know what's going on, you know, and it's very interesting. The regionalization is huge, and I would love to see it in other esports and to see how it changes things for them, you know.
When I first saw that come to fruition, that was my first, it was like the validation in my mind that, oh, this is real. Like this is actually a thing. We have states with teams, and me being somebody who I always liked Overwatch. And I don't think I stopped playing it because I didn't like it. Again, just going back to the same, like, I think it's extremely, extremely difficult to have a full-time job, be a part-time, borderline full-time streamer, and play a game that you don't stream competitively. Like, having those three things, and you have to be living in your parents' basement. You cannot have any friends or girlfriend, and the only pet you're allowed to have is something like a snake that you have to feed every month or so. I don't know how long you have to feed a snake, but
that's about right.
Overwatch was always fun. Something that always gets to me is my interaction with the fellow community members in the game. And that is half of kind of what turned me out of Rocket League and half of kind of what turned me out of Overwatch, was just the daily interactions with extremely toxic communities. And as a streamer, I'd like to think that I have somewhat thick skin. I still cry on Thursday nights when I'm alone, but there's something about just like constant, because in my streams, are you trolled at all in your chat? Like actually trolled or harassed?
Like on occasion, someone will show up and just spew vile stuff, but they're banned real fast. I'm
Is
very
it
trigger
ever
happy on banning those people.
is it ever like personal attacks, or is it just like N-word, homophobic slurs,
I mean,
whatever?
it can't like the biggest one that go like the way that hit me most personally is the fact that I'm not good at Rocket League. I'm not, but like I'm a expert, you know. So
Right.
like, how are you down in Diamond? Like what? You know, how are you not good at this game? You know, like it's and the funny thing is that it hurts because I feel that I want to be good at the game and I'm not, and it hurts me that I'm not good at this game. You know, that's probably the ones that'll be. That's the most personal it gets. They never talk about my mom or anything, you know?
Well, as soon as you start putting all of your time into playing Rocket League, the next time you go to do an RLCS, be like, man, is WavePunk kind of like falling off the casting world? Like,
Yeah, right.
I feel like it's
the fact that I in game have a title that says this guy's an expert in this game, you know, is like you feel like there's like a standard to uphold of some sort. I need to at least be in champ, you know? And
right.
like I hit champ
Which
for
you
the
did
first
hit
time ever. Yeah. Like, and the funny thing is, like, I don't know if I explained it. I don't know if it's in that clip, but like that was the first time I had ever earned my way into the top tier of any game ever. Like, I am not a good gamer. And it was like that was after 1,900 hours of Rocket League. It finally got to like champ 1. Like that's how I'm not good at games. You know, it takes me a long time, which I don't know. I've settled on that fact. I've made peace with it, but it's also like I'm paid to know about games, and most people assume you have to be good at a game to know about it, which isn't really true. But
it really isn't.
I wish that wasn't the common like thought though, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a reason the saying "those who can't do teach" exists is because it is a cliche, and that, you know, I actually kind of had those same thoughts because after it took me 1,100 hours to finally hit Grand Champ 1. And out of all the people that I played with, I progressed the slowest. I felt like everybody else got better and, you know, got faster, way faster than I did. And I was always like, man, this kind of hurts me inside. Like, because you really want to be good, but at the end of the day, it comes down to things that are sometimes out of your control. And especially when it comes down to video games, you've got reaction time and you know, depth perception that come into play.
Depth perception is the big one for me, man. It's like I've watched the game, I play the game, and it's just like there'll be points at which it's like, I don't know where that ball is because I can't go for it, which means that we're not going to score on this drive. You know,
right?
Like simple, like to the point where I know exactly where my weakness is, and like it's like the moment we get to the weak side, it's like, oh, here we are, and I hope, you know, like let's just find a way to not get scored on while we're dealing with this, you know. And that's the real hard one for me is depth perception. I don't know how the kids do it.
I think if you were to ask any of I have two guys that I used to play with all the time, Mr. 42 and Mr. Vansman. Those are my boys. Shout out! And they will tell you that I am the king of going up for aerials and just going under the ball. Just under it every fucking time. There's nothing I tried fixing it. I tried, you know, practicing. I tried changing my camera angle. And oh my God, the game of camera angle settings, like just camera settings in general, it's never ending. Just like tweaking your audio never ends. I don't know about you, but even after having this compressor and a microphone for probably, I think it's been a year now, I'm never done tweaking it because there's always work to be done.
It's funny. I'm good at kind of getting the setup and just leaving it. Like I've played on the same camera settings for ever. I don't know. Like it's been a very long time since I touched those, to the point that I forget what they are just because I don't touch them. Look, sometimes I have to go to my own chat and type in like _camera. What are my camera settings? Okay, thank you.
Right.
But and with audio, sometimes I'll keep tweaking it, but generally it's I love being able to just turn on, like walk over, just hit the on buttons and be ready to go, you know,
just go.
Yeah, but now luckily I've managed to. I know that the camera isn't the reason I'm missing things. Like for me, when I was going underneath aerials, it was because I wasn't getting my nose up. You know, I was leaving the ground and I was like taking too long to actually get vertical where I was actually flying up. You know,
right.
And so once I learned to like, no, make that a priority first off, then you'll get there. Now you're flying over the ball. Now what do? You know, and it's like, and like just trying to find that sweet spot in the middle, trying to find a way to read the ball, and realizing like I've never had to read the ball because I've never gotten this close to actually hitting the aerial before, you know,
Right.
and like kind of coming all the way around. So it's a crazy game, you know.
I was just going back through some old clip compilation videos, and this is when it was Odd Shot clip compilations and not Twitch clip back in the day. And just watching the first couple 100 hours of my Rocket League gameplay of using, I was a Merc homie for a really, really long time. I loved that van. And yeah, just going to see how skill progresses in that game, and even comparing the very first Rocket League, RLCS footage to like the latest, like the plays that were being made in the first, compared to the most recent.
Champ 1 is as good as professional Rocket League in season 1. Like, it may be better. Like, I would say that their rotations and their understanding of the game is significantly better than the professional players in season 1. It's just a matter of like mechanics and like were they able to actually, because like a lot of those guys are still really freaking good at just hitting shots, you know.
Right.
It's crazy how much the game has evolved. It looks nothing like it did 3 years ago.
And I remember seeing kind of like where passing plays like started being integrated into the game, and that changed shit. Seeing like a successful passing play, especially when it involves all 3 team members and not just the 2, she can get crazy. And that was kind of, again, when I started hitting that skill wall. When I was breaching into champion, I started playing against these people, and I'm like, I can't compete. I can't compete with any of these people. Yeah, it's just way over my head.
Yeah. No, it's been really fun to watch the game grow over time competitively. I've really enjoyed, like, it's the funny thing was, you going back to kind of that first weekend of RLCS, and I remember I casted the first series and then was sitting on the sidelines with some water, kind of keeping tabs on Twitch and like where the numbers were at, and watching, I think, Leaf and Lawler cast, and just having the realization of how much I had wanted to get into esports for so long. I'd loved esports. I'd been a big Halo fan and then a Call of Duty fan, and how much I wanted to get into esports for so long but didn't know how. And now I finally was here. Not in a million years would I have ever guessed that car soccer would have been the place where I got into esports. Like, I like cars, I like racing games, but soccer is just not a thing I cared about at all growing up.
Right.
I was like, this is the weirdest game for me to finally find my break in esports, but I was happy for it, and it's been amazing. To me, it is the game that is most akin to skateboarding, like in real life, where like you'll have people trying to do things, and then finally they'll pull it off, and they won't really know how they did it. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I finally hit the shot. I tried for forever.
Right.
I finally pulled it off. Now I got to try and do it again and see if I can finally figure out how to do it." And like, you know, the way that like skateboarders have a natural understanding of the physics of the world better than most physicists do, you know, because they experience it on a visceral level, you know, where if I do this too hard, I'm going to break my ankle, you know, and they know that because they've come close to doing it, you know.
Right.
It's crazy the way that like these, like, we're exploring a physics engine. That's literally all we're doing, and we're doing it more and more beautifully every time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, just seeing people evolve and seeing the stuff. Like, I watching Squishy's roof mid-air reset flip goal at Washington RLCS. Like, seeing that shit in person. I remember looking over my buddy Vans, and his mouth was just open. Like, no noise. Like, everybody else was screaming, and his mouth was just open. He was just staring. And that was like one of the most insane things. And again, seeing that stuff live compared to just watching it at home is a completely different experience.
Yeah, no, having the energy of the crowd around you, you know, I've thought about making a video, and I still might do it, about Justin's goal, and about the fact that nobody, when you talk about Season 5, nobody talks about Turbo Pulsa becoming the 3-time. Everybody talks about the goal that happened right before Energy lost.
Right.
Like you forget that Energy didn't win the championship. We just talk about this goal. And the funny thing is, it's not even that great of a shot. Like, it's a good shot. It's a hard shot to hit. I couldn't hit it in free play if we just booted it up right now, and I tried 100 times, right? But, like, as far as crazy stuff that had happened, like, it wasn't even, I don't think it's even in, like, the top 5 best shots of the tournament, you know? As far as pure mechanical skill. And yet we talk about that goal more than we talk about the championship.
Right.
Why is that? And there's so many things that come into it, and that the one of the beauties of esports that esports has over sports, and this is one of the things that made that moment genuinely magical for me, was that you don't have to wait for officiating to like commensurate something, to say that yes, that was a touchdown, yes, that was an actual home run, yes, that was a goal. We don't have to wait for that, because the game, if it wasn't a goal, there's no explosion. There's
Roboting again.
No.
And it looks like your video's crapping out too.
Come back.
Oh, I think you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, you're good.
I know my people are probably playing Fortnite.
Goddamn Fortnite.
Yep. But like the you don't have to wait for something to say that what you saw is what you saw. You know, when you score a touchdown, it's not actually a touchdown until the guy goes to the end zone and puts his arms up, you know? Well, even though you know it was a touchdown, you have to kind of wait and hold your celebration until that happens. Where in video games, you don't have to wait for that at all. The goal will explode. The ball explodes when there's an actual goal, right? And there's this beauty of, in the moment, when that, like, we all saw it coming, it could happen, it's happening, and there's an explosion in game. And the crowd roars at the same moment, and like that energy all coming to this climax and this like happening at the same time there's nothing that can replace that. It's intangible and so difficult to put into words how incredible that feeling is, you know?
Right.
And then you put on it being like, it's a rookie in his first season in the best of 7 bracket reset, to go to overtime against the reigning world champions with a player who has won 2 world championships in a row, and you start to think like, I would never dream that I would actually see this moment. We actually saw it, you know?
Right. And I'm sure in that moment, you see this happening, you're like, oh, wait, oh, no, oh. And then, yeah, I can only imagine just like, yeah, the buildup of all that energy to that point.
Yeah.
God, yeah, to be there in person, shit. Is that like
it was one of those moments where it was like, if the people who are here don't know how much they regret not being here. Like,
right.
It's impossible for me to put into words why you should, like, because everyone's like, oh man, I wish I had gone. It's like, no, you don't understand how much you wish you had gone. Like,
yeah.
Like it's not possible, because I can't put that feeling into a style that you can describe, you know? Like, it was a genuinely special moment that I feel blessed to have been witness to be there, you know? Like, it was the one of my favorite memories of RLCS ever is getting to be on the desk to talk about it afterwards. The fact that, again, talking about earlier about like how blessed I feel that people thousands of people get to tune in to listen to me talk, that I just get to just get on camera and just talk about whatever I feel like. That was that moment where that was the most special, because that I just got to just rave about how cool that was, you know, instead of just being off to the side watching it happen, which would have been special. There was no moment, like, people have always asked, like, would you have rather casted the moment? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea what the experience was like for Carpet and Shogun. I don't know. They haven't, this hasn't been all over the place, but they've said this publicly. Carpet and Shogun, when that game was over, went off to the side and cried. Because they were just so emotionally overwhelmed by what had just happened. You hear Carpet in the call, literally can't formulate the word Justin again, right? He trembles with the amount of like how crazy that was. And then this thing that we've built for 3 years, you know, that we've been at for 6 seasons, and to have that moment happen that we never thought could happen, you know, the fact that that happened a year ago almost, and I'm still raving about it like this.
Right.
Like, dude, I don't know if anything will ever beat that in esports.
This is Rocket League.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the Shogun cringes about that, and
I fucking love that, man.
I'm like, would I have done better? Who knows? I have no idea what I would have said. I would have probably tripped over my words so much. Like it made the moment so special. There's no call that can make that moment whatever the call will be enshrined, you know? And like,
right.
And that was a good one. It was great.
Honestly, I have never heard anybody say like, oh man, that probably wasn't. No, that was an amazing thing to say. Yeah. The amount of times that I've said that just playing video games, not even playing Rocket League, I think it was freaking hilarious. Yeah. And again, yeah, like all the other things that somebody could think of to say in that moment, probably wouldn't be as good as that. So he's got nothing to cringe about.
Yeah, it was the most like that. It's also so freaking poetic because like I don't know if you saw Rocket League when it was with MLG. MLG did a tournament way back in the day before RLC Pro League, before RLCS.
Okay.
This was back when Kronovi was still just the god of the game. This was back when iBuyPower Cosmic was a thing, and their tournament concluded with Kyle Mask hitting a buzzer beater to beat iBuyPower Cosmic, and that was how they won that little tiny like $100 tournament or whatever it was. It was Puckett and Benson casting the Call of Duty / Halo / just shooter casters, and that was the moment. That was we always refer to that as the shot heard around the world. That was the moment when we're like, Rocket League can be a real esport, because we had this crazy moment where this buzzer beater changed everything, you know?
Right.
And like, how cool was it that was how that ended? That was the finals, you know? And the fact that 3 years later, a very similar moment gets crowned as this is Rocket League. Like, it's so true. That was Rocket League. That was what made Rocket League esports what it was, you know?
Full circle.
Yeah.
How rattling was it when Carpet shaved his beard?
The funny thing was I knew it had happened. Someone had told me that he had shaved, and I had seen pictures of him shaved, but I still didn't like. It was the first time he walked out. I was just like, okay, this is interesting. And he gets in my car, and the weirdest thing is that when you see somebody who is as jacked as Carpet is, and as kind of like small as Carpet is, and with as big of a beard as Carpet is, you think this is an actual dwarf from the Forges of Moria, and he is going to have a very deep voice. And then Carpet starts talking, and you're like, oh, this isn't as deep as I thought it was. You know? Carpet's got a deep voice.
Right, yeah.
You're expecting Smog, you know? You're expecting like, hello. Haha. I hear, you know? And like you're not and the funny thing was though, he gets in the car and he starts talking, and I'm like, his voice sounds deeper. And it's because now he's just kind of a shorter guy.
Right.
Shorter, stocky, well-built, not a dwarf.
Without the
And so
expectation.
now I'm hearing how much deeper his voice is, because literally the beard taking it away made me hear him as a deeper voice, which was funny. The crazy part was I was picking him up to go to lunch, and so I'm just driving, and every time we're driving, I'm just driving, focused on the road, listening to him talk. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm here with Carpet. And then I turn and be like, oh, wait, wait, what? Oh, yeah, there's no beard. Because like every time I'd look away, the beard, like my brain would regrow the beard for him because he just had it for so long, you know?
Where's your face, Carpet? It's gone.
What you doing with him?
Do you know the origin? We're going with origin. Jesus Christ. Okay. The origin of his name. Do you know how we came up with that? It
was randomly generated Xbox Live username.
God damn, Xbox Live wins again.
Yeah, it was funny because he wanted to be Dr. Pepper Guy. And Dr. Pepper Guy was already taken. So it gives you suggestions, right? Dr. Pepper Guy 25, Dr. Pepper Guy 1998, Findable Carpet. And he didn't realize that the third option was always just a random option that had nothing to do. He thought he had broken the system. He's like, I broke Xbox Live. And it gave me this thing that has nothing to do with it. I have to choose this.
Switched one too many times.
Yeah, and so he had no idea. And eventually, he would actually be called it officially in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
It's a great fucking name. I remember seeing him for the first time, and I think it had panned over to somebody else, and then he has this iconic where he's got one elbow on the table and he's just smirking. Mm-hmm. It's like the pose that I always see him in, and it was like I saw him. I'm like, oh, that's a burly man. That's a manly man. Okay, panned over to this person, and they're like, okay, and on the desk with me today is Findable Carpet, and then panned back over, and I went, what?
Yep,
that's who. But I came to fall in love with the name, and he has not to put anybody else down. He has my favorite casting voice. Like his voice is the one that just ramps me up. I always hear the emotion, I hear the excitement, and it's always good to just hear him get real hype for something.
Yeah, he's one of the most I think genuinely extroverted people I know, and he's very the energy and passion's always there. Which is the funny thing is, when I think about genuinely extroverted people who are genuinely always super excited about things, and they're excited about them, and they sound excited because they are excited. Quinn Lobdell is at the top of that list. And the funniest thing is, so many people would listen to Quinn and be like, "This is so fake," and I'd be like, No, actually, I'd say it's more genuine from Quinn than it is from any of us. Like, Quinn is here because he loves Rocket League, and that is the only reason he's here. You know, like I've always been. I was texting him today. I've always been kind of sad that he is gone from the scene. He stepped away. He's doing other stuff now. But yeah, I think he was always such a genuine. He genuinely loved Rocket League. Like, that was why he was there. You know.
How tall is he? You say he was short?
Carpet?
Yeah. Are you allowed to say?
I don't know how tall he actually is, and I don't want to do him a disservice. I'm not actually very good at judging how tall people are unless they're over 6 foot.
Okay,
like,
Carpet,
like,
don't watch the VOD, dude.
Yeah, he's like, I'd say he's like 5'10", 5'11".
That's short.
Maybe.
I'm 6'1".
Yeah, maybe 5'8". I don't know. I really don't know. He's just, especially in comparison to me, because like, people always look at the two of us. We're always the same height, and they think, oh, Carpet's the big one because he looks big, and then when they see us walking around, and they're like, lol, Wave is so much taller than him because I'm 6'5". So you know,
You're 6'5"?
I'm 6'5", yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
You never know because they always have. Everyone who's ever casted with me has to stand on an apple box.
Wait, seriously?
If we're standing, they have to stand on an apple box. Yep.
Oh no. Okay, yeah, because there's no way to judge. Cause we can't see below the belt, so we don't know who's standing. We don't know who's kneeling. It's dang. Okay.
Do you remember watching season 5? There was a game where Yummy Cheese Man casted with me, and he didn't stand in the apple box, and they made a whole bunch of memes about it because like his eyes were at like my nipples.
I don't think so.
It was pretty funny. I don't know if I could find it off the fly.
I do love nipples though, so I'm kind of sad that I missed it. Okay, so random question: who's your favorite RLCS, past or present, caster to bunk with? Whether it's getting a hotel, sharing a bed, foot bath.
Stay in a bed with? Definitely Carpet because he falls asleep and he doesn't snore and he loves watching Adult Swim, which is my favorite thing to do before bed. So.
Oh, okay. So those are 3 very easy. Well, they seem easy, but I've stayed with people who snore a crap ton, and my girlfriend tells me that I snore, but I have no way of verifying that because I don't believe anything she says, and I can't necessarily verify that I snore or not. But yeah, when you're in, I think I do like a soft gurgle snore. It's just like a. It's not like a full on snore. No, not even. Well, she could probably tell you better than I could, but from the videos that I've seen taken of me, it's just a tiny little inward gurgle, like. But
yeah,
apparently
most of I know Gibbs is a like chainsaw. Lawler, if we're like there was a time when Lawler and I had to share a room together and we both got off like a crazy long flight and we were both snoring a bunch. That was kind of a different situation. Lawler's usually pretty good. I don't think I've ever. Leaf's fine. It's mostly Gibbs. Gibbs is he's the one that's I love Gibbs. Gibbs is one of my favorite people. He's just one of the most chill people I've ever met. But yeah, I can't sleep in the same room as him.
Who's got the stinkiest shits?
James. James is a bodily function nightmare.
Called out. You heard it here first, friends.
No, it's been an actual complaint before of like, James, you have to stop farting during casting. It's distracting your fellow casters.
Wait, like on the job. Yeah. I meant like hotel shits.
I mean, it's just the same, but like, yeah, like it's all coming out of the same place, you know.
Right. Same pooper hole, dude.
Yeah.
What has been, as far as like casting RLCS, what has been there's obviously a lot of constants because it's players, it's teams, it's competition, and then there's a winner. What's one of the things that has changed the most from the first time you casted and the most recent time? Like, as far as anything from the production quality to the equipment to, last we actually had a makeup team. Like, what was like the biggest contrast between the two?
We've had a makeup team since the beginning.
Okay. Is that still weird for you?
No, it was definitely weird at first. It's not weird at all now. The weird thing now is if I'm wearing a suit, I can't touch my face. Like if I'm at a wedding and I don't have makeup on, I'll be like, don't touch my face because I'll have phantom makeup on my face. Because just every other time I've had a suit on for the last 2 years, I've had makeup on my face. But I think one of the biggest things that's changed is how the fullness of which we understand the game. I think not just the casters, but also the players. There was a lot of just reactionary gameplay at the start, and it still is very reactionary, but people are just getting better. Like that's the biggest thing to me is the gameplay and how different the gameplay is. We already kind of talked about that. The new set is really cool and is a genuinely that changes the way that the show feels. To have one of what I think is kind of one of the best sets in esports, definitely helps things feel more legitimate. And the expansion of the casting family, I think, has been a huge part of it. The way that, like, at Season 6, where we had all of the Rival Series guys were there casting as well. And there was definitely a time at which the RLCS casters were kind of a step above other people. And now, I think, especially when it comes to the Rival Series guys, it's much more of just kind of like affectation. It's just, what are you into? Who do you like? You know? Stax and I are super different casters. And some people absolutely adore Stax, and some people absolutely adore me. And this isn't a better or worse. This is just strictly a different, you know?
Right.
And that is a kind of a cool thing to, like, be at a place where there's this sort of diversity and where I get to, like, I have more friends there. Like, it was really fun to get to, every time I was not on air at Vegas, to have, like, a group of, like, 3 or 4 people that I was watching the match with, you know?
Right.
Like, it was I think those are kind of the biggest changes for now is definitely just the casting team, but also still just gameplay. The gameplay it's crazy how much it changes.
Are you I almost said aroused. Are you astounded every RLCS, do you see like a noticeable step up in gameplay? Like, do you see a huge change in certain strategies from competition to competition like nowadays, or do you think it's kind of plateaued as far as skill, and like, are you not seeing as much new stuff lately?
Every season there's something that changes. Like this season we had flip resets become a thing, where you're getting the flip reset back off the ball and then flipping into it. Last season was ceiling shots. Season 4 was Season 4 was ceiling shots. What the hell was Season 5? Like infield passes or something like that. Like there's been kind of like infield passes was like Season 3. No, Season 2. Season 3 was double taps. Season 4 was ceiling shots. Season 5 was something I'm forgetting. But anyways, it's like there has been like almost like you could put a label on what is the thing that changed this season. What technique got introduced, and also just the way that people play the game, the way that the game is reactionary, because every time you're coming up on the ball, right? If you're on the ball, the ball's on the wall, you're coming up on it, and there's a player that you read the field. You can either dump the ball into a place where players aren't, kind of clear. You can try to pass the ball to where a teammate is. You can try and take a shot from where you are, or you can try to like keep the ball in your own hood. And you have a split second to make that decision, right? And oftentimes what you end up doing is some sort of kind of approximation to how close it is, right? And it's so difficult to actually, there's the only situation where you get players doing like set plays is off of kickoff, where you have time to think about it and you know where everybody is and you know what's going on. The problem is kickoff is simultaneously the most predictable and the least predictable moment, because it's the most predictable because you know where everybody is and you know what everyone's trying to do. It's the least predictable because that means there's more RNG. It's a rock, paper, scissors, right? And generally the ball will pinch out in a direction that neither team want. And then at that point, both teams are just reacting to the situation. Like, all right, cool. They're all there. We're all here. The ball's there. The best thing for me to do right now is here, you know? And you're just making that thing like 3 times a second. You're reanalyzing the field and making that new decision. Like I've seen moments where like a player's role on the pitch changes 3 times in a second, where it goes from he's the third man back to he is now the person that is being passed to he's back to being the third man back in the matter of a second, just based on the position of his teammate and the ball, right? And like that sort of play where the players are trying to mitigate that to some degree, right? They don't want it to be something they have to decide on the fly. They want to be able to gain control, feel like they have a moment to breathe, and feel like they have a moment to move forward, which involves dribbling the ball more. But the problem is, if you have the ball in your own corner, that is actually a good place for the other team to challenge you. They move into your corner. I'm going to be able to, and I take the ball away from you, I'll slam it onto the backboard and around the wall. Now I have ball control in enemy territory. I don't want that. So usually you want to dump the ball out of your own half as fast as possible. But that means you're putting pressure on them, which means, it's so chaotic. It's so fast that the thing I think that we're going to see players start to get good at is if you can get good at dribbling the ball in such a way that like I can hold on to it and you can't play with it, I can make decisions. I can make decisions. My teammates can get in a position to where I can pass to them and stuff. And you're starting to see glimpses of this, like at E-League, where Cloud9, they get up, they're up by 2 goals. There's 40 seconds left. They start dribbling the ball on their own back wall. And saying,
right.
This isn't helping us score. This is just keeping you from scoring. I'm getting good enough at dribbling to where I have control and you can't touch me.
That would make me so mad inside. Seeing that happen and not being able to do anything about it, I would flip shit.
It's the most explicit clock management strat we've ever seen from a team. We've seen players before where they're just punting the ball to the other side, being like, hey, go get it out of your own corner. Bring it down here. That'll take you 5 seconds. It'll burn some time off the clock. But like this sort of like, I'm going to keep the ball. I'm not going to give you back the ball. I'm going to keep it. And you can't even come get me because it'd be silly for you to come up here on the wall. And if you do, I'm just going to pass to my teammate who's over there because he's had time to get there. We're going to start to see more of that. And personally, I would love to see a tournament where we compete on Stadium, the map where you can go behind the goals. Because the thing is, just in casual play, you see this already. When the ball's behind the goal, smart players will realize, I shouldn't go back there. That's a silly place for me to go to get the ball on their side. I should just back off, let them get it out of their own back half, and then I'll deal with it. And that creates an actual safe space where if I can get the ball to here, they'll back off, we can get in a formation, we can move forward, and that could genuinely change the way Rocket League is played.
That's some hockey shit right there.
Yeah. It's literally.
It's like just talking about it is getting me so excited about it again. And like, I know that I'll want to go and play it again eventually, but at the same time, I'm like, your time has passed. Like you played it for 1,000 hours plus. It's time to move on. And since I've stopped playing Rocket League, I've had so much more time to play other games. Like in 2018, I beat 22 single player games that I had never played before.
Sure.
And I played some of the best games that I've ever played in my goddamn life. Like, I didn't know that these games existed because I was so hell-bent on playing the same games that I had already been playing over and over and over. So it's like, it's a constant kind of push and pull within myself to like play Rocket League. And like now with Smash coming out, I really want to play Smash a lot because I fucking love it. And that
Same.
I played Smash 9 times longer than I did Rocket League. Like that was one constant in my video game life leading all the way up to when I started PC gaming. And I'm gonna have to make a choice at some point, but it's always good to go back and just.
And now it's mobile, and now you can play against people locally without the internet. Like that's awesome,
We're going backwards.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. We ran a Smash tournament at our house the Friday after it came out, and we had so much fun. Like there was like 20-something people here. We ran a double elim bracket because that's all we do is make esports. So we're like, let's just run a tournament here. And of course,
why not?
The dude who had been a former like bubble player in the Smash Melee scene just raffle stomped and won the thing, but we didn't mind. We had a great time, And it was like, and the thing was like you just have pop-up games pop up all over the place. You just have 2 people with their Switches next to each other and be like, hey, you want to go? Like, cool. And just boom, we're just playing against each other. Like, it was awesome.
And it's like you go to a Rocket League, you go to RLCS, cast RLCS, competitive play, and then you go back like, I got my Switch in the hotel room. You want to throw down on some Smash?
Yeah. Because we could throw down with Rocket League, but like we just talked about, let's just do Smash.
Right. Let's take a break. Yeah.